So grade 10, we're going to do the 6.6 section, and that's general line uh, form. So the form that we use quite often in study of lines. So this is 6.6, the general form of a line. Oh boy. Hello? Morning. Not bad. Before you go too long, I'm working right now, so I gotta let you go. Okay, okay, you can phone me like 4 o'clock. Uh, just give me a call later. I'm kind of right in the middle of something. Okay, but bye bye. Okay, so sorry about that. So general form of a line. Okay, so if you're looking at a line, the general form of a line, if we take A, B, C as numbers, we put a number with X plus a number with Y plus a number, and we equal everything to 0. So it looks like that. Now that doesn't look like anything special, uh, but A, B, and C are all numbers. So what does it look like if we do an example? So you might have something like 2x plus 4y minus 6 equals 0. That would be the general form of a line. You might have decimals, 1.5x minus 3y plus 8.2 equals 0. Okay, so it could have decimals, could have fractions. Okay, so you could have 2/3 x plus 1/2 y minus 4 equals 0. So you'll notice that it's always x, y, number 0. Okay, something might be missing. Okay, if a y or an x point is missing, it might be 3x plus 0y minus 2 equals 0. So that would be 3x minus 2 equals 0. Okay? So you could have a missing value of yx or a number in there as well. So those are all called general form of a line. Okay? Okay? So not, okay? So a couple of not things, about this. Okay? If we go ax plus by plus c equals to 0, if a equals 0, you have y equaling and a number equaling 0. Okay? So if a equals 0, you get a horizontal line. Okay, so if a equals 0, it's y you get a horizontal line. And if we go even so far as to put the 0 in, it would be y equals, okay, negative c over b, based on this line, because you would just move the c over there and divide by what's in b. Okay, if b is 0, you get a vertical line. If b equals 0, then you get a vertical line. Okay, so what does that do? B equals 0, so you get x, because this would be 0, x equals, okay, and then when you're doing the division, c goes back over there, and then you divide by a. Okay, because there's no b. Okay, that's a couple of line constants. Okay, the first example that we're going to look at is how do you convert other forms of lines into general form? Most of the time in math, we keep lines in general form. Then we look at graphing a general line. Then we look at determining the slope of a general line. Okay, there's a couple of different things that we have to be able to do. Okay, those three things are the main three things that come in this section. Okay, so we're going to look at, first of all, converting forms. Okay, so this will be converting forms, converting the line to general form. So let's do two examples. Let's do a vertex graphing form. Sorry, not vertex graphing, that's what we call it in grade 11. Slope-intercept form. So let's say we had y equals 4/5 x minus 2. And let's do slope-intercept form. Let's say we had y minus 2 equals 2/3 x plus 6 is our second one. Okay, so this is the slope-intercept form. This is the slope point form. And we want to convert them to general form. So in this one here, step 1 is to eliminate the fraction. Okay, so we're going to start by eliminating the fraction. Step 1, we're going to multiply by the common denominator. Okay, so I'm going to multiply by 5, multiply by 5, and multiply by 5, because the common denominator, if it doesn't have any number in the fraction, then we consider it to be 1. Something over 1, y over 1, or 2, negative 2 over 1. So I get 5y equals, okay, 20x over 5 minus 10. So I get 5y equals 4x minus 10. Okay, then step 2 is to move everything to the left or the right of the equal sign. Collect all the terms to one side of the equal sign. Okay, so the easiest one to do is to collect all the terms to the right side So subtract 5y. And remember, it goes x, y number, x, y number. Okay, so that's going to give us 0 equals 4x minus 5y minus 10. Okay, or if you want to put the 0 on the other side, okay. Now, if you move the number to the other side, if you went and you collected everything to the other side, if you put the negative 4 over here and the negative 10 over there, it would give you the exact opposite sign. So there are always two possible answers. Let's do that underneath because I got to do the other one on the side here. So if I were to say, if we had this step here, and let's say that David wanted to subtract 4x and add 10, to both sides. If you wanted to do that, you could get the same answer, but opposite sides. So it would end up being negative 4x plus 5y plus 10 equals 0. So this and this are considered equal because you just changed the signs on them. Okay? So your answer in the back of the book can look two ways, right? So these are equivalent. Okay, this one means the same as this one. Opposite sign, opposite sign, opposite sign, but they're the same. Okay, so that's how you do an example where you're doing the slope-intercept form. What about if you get here? Well, this one here is very similar, okay? Again, we're going to first remove the brackets. Oops, that's too fat. Make it a little bit skinnier. Okay, you don't have to do it the first step, but it's probably the easiest way. Step one, remove, expand, or remove the brackets. So we're going to go like this here. Okay, so I got y minus 2 equals 2/3 x. 2 times 6 divided by 3. 2 times 6 is 12. Okay, and then I can simplify that. Okay, and then I would simplify this. Add 2 to both sides. Now you're doing the exact same thing you did in the first step, right? You now have it in slope-intercept form. Okay, so now you would step 2, common denominator. Okay, so you're going to multiply by 3, multiply by 3, multiply by 3. So I get 3y equals 6 over 3x, 6x over 3, sorry, plus 18. Okay, and then when I get that to simplify, 3y equals 2x plus 18. Okay, and then finally rearrange. Okay. Okay, that means I'm gonna bring everything over this way. So we're gonna get 0 equals 2x minus 3y plus 18. Now, of course, you could rearrange the other way. Okay, go ahead.
So for this one, I get like the first bit of it. So like you'd add k, so that would be
Okay, so if you add k, you got 1 less than or equal to 4 plus 2k, and then you subtract 4.
Subtract 4 from here, yeah.
Right.
So negative 3.
So you'd have negative 3 is less than or equal to 2k, and then you divide by 2.
So how do you know like what to divide it by? Like which side? Is it always the variable
Doesn't matter.
side?
Doesn't matter. You can do either one.
Oh,
Both will work.
Okay.
Yeah. You can start with either one and you'll get the same answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our example of converting. So that's example 1 and 2, I guess, because we did both kinds of lines. Okay, that's the main thing. So the next thing they want you to be able to do is how do you graph this? Okay, well, there's a couple of different ways to graph the line. My favorite way is the x and y intercept way. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. So this is B graphing the line. Okay, so firstly, you could use A, table of values. Which we know from grade 9, or B, y and x intercept, which is way quicker. So we're going to show how to do that. So if you take some graph paper, put it out. Okay, let me pop up some graph paper here. Oops, not that one. Okay, so let's just put that in there. Okay, so let's say our line is 2x minus 5y minus 20 equals 0. Okay, so the first way I'm going to show you is the x and y intercept. So find x intercept. So that means y equals 0. So you go 2x minus 5 times 0 minus 20 equals 0. So you get 2x minus 20 equals 0. You get 2x, add 20 to both sides, equals 20. And you get x equals 10. So the x-intercept is 10 and 0. Okay. Then if we do the y-intercept, so that means x equals 0. Okay. 2 times 0 minus 5y minus 20 equals 0. So we're going to add 20 to both sides. Okay, and we get negative 5y equals 20. Divide by negative 5. Okay, and we get y equals -4. So our y-intercept is 0, -4. Okay, then we plot this. Okay, so we got to plot it on a graph. So let's make our graph here. I got to make it go up to what, 10 and -4 for y. So 10 for x is easy. So let's just extend this a little bit. Okay, so let's draw our graph. Okay, there's my y-axis, there's my x-axis. Okay, y and x. Okay, now I'm going to plot 10, 0, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 0. And then -4, 0, -4 is right here. There's our line. Okay, so plot it in there. Remember, when you're doing lines, they go on forever and ever. To make sure that you're drawing them such. They're not line segments. Okay, and then you should always label your line. So go back, take a look at what the line was, which was originally up here, 2x minus 5y minus 20, and put it beside it. 2x minus 5y minus 20 equals to 0. Okay, and then if you're doing lines, put those arrows so that you know that. Now, if you make a mistake on one of those, you got the completely wrong line. So sometimes you can just check another point along the line and see if it works, just to be sure. But that's the easiest way to graph those lines. Taking a table of values will also work. Okay? But most people like this method because it's fast. Put a 0 in for each. Figure them out. Now, it only works nicely if you get a nice number. You could also use a table of values. So if you do a table of values, is just choose values of x and solve for y. Okay, and you only need 2 of them for a line, 3 of them if you want to check. Okay, so both will work. Okay. My favorite way to do it is x and y intercepts because it works quicker. Okay, the third last thing we want to look at is how do you find the slope when it's in general form? When a line is in general form, finding the slope, all you have to do is convert it back to slope-intercept form, which is really easy to do. Okay, so that would be our third thing we're going to look at this morning. Let me just see where we are in terms of video here. We're not too bad. Okay, let's flip ahead here, and this will be C. This will be converting back to slope-intercept form. To find the slope. Okay, so if you had, let's say, 2x minus 5y minus 20 equals to 0. And I said find slope. Okay, it's really simple. Just isolate the y to one side and make it. So all you have to do is isolate y to one side. Okay, so I'm going to isolate the y to the right. So I'm going to add 5y to both sides. Reason I'm doing that because I only have to move one variable. So I got 2x minus 20 equals 5y. Okay, and then I have to just divide by 5. Okay, so now I've got 2 over 5x. So there's our slope. Here's our y-intercept, minus 20 divided by 5. So we have a slope equal to 2/5. Y-intercept equal to 0, -4, which we knew already from our other graph. So to find slope, it's really simple. Really, really simple. Okay? You just have to isolate the y by itself. Now, if there was a negative y, make sure you're dividing by negative so that everything stays the proper sign. Okay. So those are the three major things. Graphing that line, okay, writing it in general form from the other line forms, and of course, finding slope of that line, because it's not, in the other two forms of the line, it gives you the slope as part of the equation. This one doesn't, right? You have to convert it back to one or the other. Usually, most people convert it back into the slope-intercept form. Okay, so that's our third thing. Let's see what it The other thing they'll get you to do sometimes is they'll get you to determine the equation of a line, okay? Given some information or a word problem, or maybe a drawing, or maybe the actual graph with the line on it. But they'll tell you, write the line equation in general form. So that's D. Finding the line equation from a graph or statement. Okay, this is our last topic that we have. So let's start out with doing it from a drawn graph. Okay, so I'll pop some graph paper up again. Okay, I'm going to draw a little line axis here. Okay, and I'm going to say that we have this point here given to us and this point here given to us. Okay, so those 2 points, this one is -4 and 3. And this one here is 1 and -2. Okay, we'll put the line in there. Okay. Now, if it was perfect and it went across here and here, we could use the slope intercepts. But the first thing we should do is determine the slope of the line. Okay, so I'm going to go from here to here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over. So my slope is -5 over 5, which equals -1. Okay, now at this point, we can choose to find the y-intercept if it's there and use the y-intercept. Or we can choose one of the points and use the slope points for it. So there's now two choices to make depending on what's easier to do. You can use this point here, or you can use one of these 2 points to write it in slope in point form. It's up to you. I'm going to use one of the given points because I know that it's not a mistake. And who knows, is that the y-intercept perfectly, or is it kind of not right on it? I don't know exactly. Actually, I do because of the slope, but if I wasn't sure, I could just use one of these 2 points. So let's make a little bit more space so we can do this. So after that, we determine the slope. We write the line in point slope form. Sorry, the end didn't come out there. So you're going to write the line in point slope form. Okay, so I'm going to use this point. Okay, so I'm going to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, here I go. Y minus -2 is +2 equals -1 times x minus 1. Okay, now I expand and turn it into general form. Okay, so this is pretty similar to what we did before. So now I'm going to just multiply that out. So I'm going to go y plus 2 equals -x plus 1. Okay, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Okay, so subtract 2 from both sides. Geez, why would I subtract 3 when I don't even have a 3? Oy, 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 oy. Subtract 2 from both sides, right? Okay, so y equals -x minus 1. Okay, now I just change everything into general form by moving everything to one side. So I'm going to add x and add 1 to both sides. Okay, so I've got x plus y plus 1 equals 0. And that's my line equation in general form. Everything's ones. Any questions so far? Now, I'm assuming everybody remembers how to plot graphs from grade 79, so I'm not spending much time on that, okay? But we've been plotting graphs. So that kind of takes us to the end of our instructional stuff today. Okay, kind of a long video, about 35 minutes, but that's where we'll stop. And we're going to do tomorrow, we'll be looking at 6.6. So this is on page 384. This is our last part of the line stuff. So we are very, very, very close to being into our final unit and a half yet. We should be done early this year, somewhere in January, so we can have lots of time for studying. So that's going to be good. So this is on page 384, 385 is 6.6. And what we would like you to try is do number. Let's do 4 A and C, 5 A and C. Okay. Those ones are just identifying. Okay. 6 A and C because you have to rearrange. Okay, 9 A and C. That's graphing. Okay, and 12 A and C. That's converting to slope-intercept form. Okay, and 13 A and C, that's just finding slope. Okay, 14 A and C, that's graphing. I'm just going to do the first couple. Okay, and 18 A and C is converting. Okay. I'm skipping the word columns for now. Okay, and you can do, let's try 22. And finally, we should probably do, that's probably good, I think. That's probably going to be good for tomorrow. Okay, so that's where we'll go. I'll put this video up. And then we're going to probably be into the hand-in a couple of days in math.